Bienvenue everyone, I'm Ariel with Urbanist, and today we are at the markets of Trajan, who was probably one of the best emperors of Rome. So we talked about some dark stories in Rome. Julius Caesar, I mentioned briefly Caligula and Commodus, and we're going to learn more about very notorious emperors. We also mentioned Caracalla, but Trajan was one of the few exceptions. And one of the greatest works that Trajan ever did in all of Rome was build a shopping mall. Wait a minute, a shopping mall? Didn't most emperors build huge monuments in their honor, like Victor Emmanuel, who wasn't an emperor, he was one of the kings of the unified Italy. But a lot of the other emperors built huge mausoleums, huge temples in their honor. We visited Augustus Arapakia yesterday. A shopping mall. Well, Trajan was very different from all the other emperors. Now, Trajan did build a huge structure in his own honor, but he was also a man of the people, and also a man of the military, and also a man who got along with the Senate. He got along with everyone, which is rather odd. So who was Trajan, and what's up with these markets? Well, today, let's learn for episode 6 of Mysteries of the Eternal City, Trajan's Market. Let me know where you're watching from, and let me know, what's your favorite shopping mall? Because we're at the very first one. Buongiorno, Bernadette, welcome. Hola, Amanda, hello Kay, hello Catherine, hello Arlinda, hello Jem, hello everyone, nice to see you here. So we won't be able to walk around too much today because there's very bad service in this general area, lots of stone, lots of concrete. That's one of the reasons why we can't go live inside a lot of these monuments. But why? What did this concrete, how old is this concrete, and why did it last for so long? Well, we're looking at buildings here that date all the way back to 100 AD. Well, a little bit later, about 100 and something AD. The Romans were masters at making concrete. Hello, Christine, welcome. Hello, Roy. Hello, everyone. So the Romans were masters at making concrete. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is probably the best example of their concrete structures. And I'll show you why. One, this is merely a shopping mall, so this is public architecture. There's two main types of architecture that was commissioned by the emperors of Rome. Public architecture, and then behind us we have the Roman Forum, which is palatial architecture. And also Palatine Hill, which is more palatial architecture. Public architecture wasn't always the top priority for most emperors. Most emperors wanted to tout their name. They really wanted to show off. But Trajan wanted to give people a center of commerce, and hence building the very first shopping mall. And it was literally a shopping mall because each individual niche had their own store. Let me show you the niches. Now, the cool thing about the niches is how they were built. So you see all these niches over here. You have one. All those individual niches were all, each and every one of them was a single store. They might be selling furs, they might be selling meats, they might be selling pottery, which was also a very popular good back in the day. Almost everything was held in potteries. However, after the downfall of the Roman Empire and the start of the medieval ages, the medieval tradesmen continued to use these very market grounds, and they built additional roofs on these market grounds. Now, the interesting thing is that they had these huge windows, which was really hard to do with concrete 2,000 years ago. However, they figured it out during the time of Trajan. But who is Trajan? How did he rise to power? Well, Trajan is right down there. And these were the various forums. Now, the forum of Trajan was right here. And it was by far the biggest. Trajan usually is seen with a cropped up hairstyle, wearing usually the same garbs that Augustus wore. And it's because Trajan saw himself as the next Augustus. But Trajan was no man who saw himself as a god. He just merely saw himself as a very competent emperor. But he was an unlikely emperor because he came from Spain. And he was one of the top generals under Nerva. Emperor Nerva had a very hard time getting the good favor of the military. He usually resided with the Senate. But the Praetorian Guard of Nerva, who you can think of as the secret service of Nerva, they convinced him to adopt Trajan as his heir. Why? Well, Trajan was a competent general, and the Praetorian Guard had interests in heightening the power of the army, which is the case with most shifts of power in the Roman Empire. Hello, Lou. Hello, George. The reason the market was designed like an arch on its side was to resist the back pressure of the hill behind it. Indeed. We're going to learn a little bit more about that hill. Let's take a view on the other side. And we're back. So, bad service. Let me stick to one place for the rest of this video. So the markets, I'm gonna post photos of them afterwards so you can get a look at them inside. Unfortunately, we can't really walk around too much because there's very bad service almost everywhere in this certain location. But George mentioned a very important thing. The hill. There was the it's a hard word to pronounce. Coralil Hill. I might be mispronouncing that, if anyone can correct me. But there was a huge hill, exactly 125 feet tall. However, Trajan wanted to build this massive forum right over here, which I'll point the camera later. He wanted to build a huge forum here. However, half of that land was covered by a hill. he couldn't build here because here there were the forums of Caesar, the forums of Nerva, the forums of Augustus, and a few others. So what did Trajan do? Well, he hired his trusty engineer / architect, who was Aladoros from Damascus. Yep, he came all the way from the other side of the empire. So Trajan became emperor because he was adopted by Nerva in order to give favor to the army. The Praetorian Guard strongly suggested that Trajan should be emperor. So he became the first non-Roman emperor in all the Roman Empire. Later on, we'll have plenty of outsiders subsequently becoming emperors themselves. So Trajan wanted to build a huge forum, but a huge hill was in his way. Well, he asked his engineer / architect to just destroy the hill, or at least destroy a good portion of the hill. So they end up destroying a good portion of that hill in order to build the forum on steady ground. However, they want to build the markets according to the terrain. So George is right. They built it in this kind of laid down arc pattern in order so the hill won't collapse, because the hill was already destroyed partially, so I assume it destabilized some parts of the hill. So making these markets in a way was kind of to stabilize the hill back together. Let me show you the forum from this distance. Hello Mary, welcome, nice to see you here. So that is Trajan's forum. I might do a part 2 wander around it so we can get a little bit closer to it. I'll give you the gist right now. So Trajan's forum by far was the largest forum of them all, destroying a hill in order to get this massive monument that ended up being open to the equestrian class and the senatorial class of Rome to hang out and to mingle. So they had this huge space, and they had these 2 huge statues of people from Romania. Now, Trajan was also a great conqueror, and he conquered the modern-day lands of Romania at the time called Dacia. He had these 2 huge statues of men with scraggly beards, wearing tunics and heavy suede boots, imprisoned with their heads bowed down in solemn gratitude for not being killed by the new emperor. This was a celebration of that Dacian conquest. Now he ended up building this huge column in order to, one, show how tall the hill was that used to stand there. So the hill reached all the way up to that height where the column is now standing, 125 feet. That's how big the hill was here. There's no longer a hill this size in this section. Here is where you see the hill. So you can imagine this height was all the way down there. The ancient Romans destroyed a hill that tall. So as you're coming into the forum, you don't really see the full scale of the column. You're kind of walking towards it, and the column almost seems like it's floating above. Now I'll do a subsequent bonus live to show you these structures a little bit closer, because in the museum part you can't really get that close up to it. Now there's it's a spiral tale. It's basically a comic book, you can think of it. It's sequential art showing the conquest of Dacia. And this on top is a statue of St. Peter with a huge key. Wait a minute, isn't this Trajan's column? Well, Pope Sixtus, I think Sixtus IV, if I'm correct, he purchased a bunch of these lands. He made his private art collection at the modern-day Capitoline Museum. Later became the Capitoline Museum after Pope Clement in the 1700s opened it up to the public. He replaced the statue of Trajan, who was bare naked, everything hanging, with a statue of a clothed St. Peter. And he used that as his own kind of private lookout, so he can look at the city and kind of see how he'll fix a lot of the city. As we know from yesterday's episodes, Ep.6 was kind of the urban planner of Rome, so you can think of him as the houseman or the Moses of Rome, Robert Moses of Rome. The interesting thing about this is that it's also Trajan's column, and he's entombed right inside that column. So imagine a huge hill being destroyed, replaced with this huge forum. Now, the forum, you can't see too much today. Most of the columns are still standing, but it used to be 2 stories tall. But the very interesting thing is, right in the middle was completely open. The ceiling was open in the first floor. So you would have this kind of terrace on the second floor, sun streaming in, yet it was still covered by the elements. So it felt this like huge, massive space. Lenore, it's beautiful. Oh yeah, indeed. It's very, very beautiful. Alright, let me see if I can exit and still maintain service. I think we have to go down this way. Am I going to Nero's Domus Aurea? Ooh, I'm not entirely sure yet. Stay tuned. I'm not sure where that is currently. There's a lot of ruins all around. I'll try to do as many of the ruins as possible. Oh, George is right next to the Colosseum? Okay, thank you. Yeah. There's a good chance I'm gonna cover it. Stay tuned tomorrow. So here's one of the streets of the Roman Forum. I mean, not the Roman Forum, sorry. Trajan's Market. So we're standing on a literal ancient Roman street. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an actual ancient Roman street, a market. So you can just imagine people selling the original ketchup. Fun fact, Romans loved ketchup, but they didn't discover the New World yet. Ketchup wasn't made out of tomato before the New World. It was actually made out of fish, fermented fish oil. So it was kind of like soy sauce. And yes, it was known as ketchup. Later on, they used the same recipe as ketchup and replaced it with replaced the fermented fish oil with actual tomatoes. So people were selling ketchup, they were selling pottery, they were selling furs, tunics, togas, anything you could think of. Hello, Saloa, qué bonito, me encanta, cuánta historia hay aquí. Sí, hay un montón de historia. Saludos, Liz de Tijuana, gracias por mirando. You're so happy that there's so much history, and impresionante, it's very impressive indeed. Very, very beautiful and impressive. Now, one big pro tip is when you're exploring these ancient ruins, actually if you're exploring just Rome in general during the rain, wear good shoes. Wear shoes with very good grip, because a lot of these rocks tend to be slippery. So there's nothing here. Bob Dylan once sung, "Oh, the streets of Rome are filled with rubble, ancient footprints are everywhere. You can almost think that you're seeing double on a cold, dark night on the Spanish stairs." Ooh, Jane, thank you so much for quoting Bob Dylan for us. Grazie. Alright, I'm going to take the elevator. Bear with me. Service might go out, but we're going to go outside and explore more of Trajan's column. Oh, nope. Elevator cannot be used. Let's go this way. Ooh, so here was the Pottery Shop. Amari, you studied Latin in school, which is rare for the late 1990s. Oh, indeed. And you can only dream of visiting. I hope you visit. Rome is very inexpensive. I spent $306 round trip to get from New York City to Rome by Norwegian Air. It's very inexpensive nowadays. My Airbnb, just for context, cost a total $1,100, but that's for 2 whole weeks, 2 entire weeks, in a comfortable Airbnb close to the city. Or inside, you know, close to the Vatican. So a lot of these upper floors were actually added in the medieval times. What neighborhood I'm seeing in the neighborhood of Prati, I'll make a Airbnb tour and reveal the exact listing at the last day I'm here, so the 23rd of, or 24th of October. Stay tuned. Alright, I gotta find my way downstairs. Bear with me, it's a kind of a crisscross, but just enjoy the views. And let us know let us know what is your favorite shopping mall. In honor of visiting the very first shopping mall in the world, what's your favorite shopping mall? As we may come in and out of service as we go downstairs. Why are there no tourists here? It's pretty expensive. I paid about €16 to come in here. You can still see it from the outside, so it's not 100% worth it, but you can get up close and touch the things, which is nice, at least. Saloa no es un museo público. Casi nadie viene aquí porque tú puedes ver la mayoría de las ruinas gratis por afuera. Pero aquí tú puedes acercarte de muchas cosas como estos pedazos de mármol que ha sobrevivido. So a lot of people don't come here because you can see a lot of the ruins for free, but inside you can at least get a little bit more up close to all of this. No problema, Liz. No problem. Oh, here we go. Even further up. can't go as fast because it was raining earlier. So just in case, it's better to be a little bit safe than sorry. So it's a little bit longer than walking on concrete or asphalt. So this was a garden, and here we see some mandarin trees. What's the exit? Okay.
And then you will see a flight of stairs that get you downstairs.
Thank you so much. So that was a preview of the inside. It's worth it if you really like history and want to get really up close, but you're gonna see how easy it is to see the ruins outside as well, outside the museum. And there's a lot of like more context on all the different aspects about how the markets were built and the building materials that they use and a lot of other things. But now let's walk a little bit closer to Trajan's column this way. Ooh, we're gonna get very up close. Get very up close. Hello, Irene. Saluda, tú dices, es una sensación muy chula pensar por ahí que estuvo tanta gente y hubo tanta vida. So Saloa says in Spanish, it's a beautiful sensation to know how many people walk these very streets with so much life. Oh, sí. Eso sí es una experiencia bien interesante a pensar que aquí había personas caminando por más de 2000 años. Personas con vidas completas y con vidas bien complicadas como nosotros. It's beautiful to know that there's so many lives and stories that walk these very streets that we don't even know about. No, thank you. So here, ladies and gentlemen, is Trajan's column. Talked a little bit about it as we're a little bit more farther away. Ariel, si te gusta Doma, tiene que visitar Augusta Mérida. Está en la Extremadura, aquí en España. Oh, so Saloa recommends I visit a town in Spain that probably has a lot of ancient ruins as well. Spain was the earlier of the colonies of ancient Rome. So here we see the story of the Dacian conquest by Trajan. Now, one of the interesting things is that there is a staircase that goes all the way up. That staircase was built when this monument was built 2,000 years ago. There's a doorway right there. However, you need very special permission to get inside. And here is the Forum of Trajan. As I mentioned earlier, there used to be a huge, massive hill right here. 125 feet tall, to be precise. Lou Brent Cross in London was your favorite mall. It was the first mall built in London, and my first job while I was there at college. Oh, great memories. Oh, that's great. Esa columna de a frente tiene que todas las historias Doma creó. So, Saloa es solamente la conquista de Domania por el emperador Trajan. So it's not the entire history of Rome, it's just the story of the Dacian conquest. Let's go around. The column was originally painted in full color, polychrome. Those holes are windows for the circular staircase. Oh yeah, indeed. And hello, Saloa, esa Rosalind. I've been to Rimini and Venice, but not Rome. I love Italy. I love Italy. Oh, Italy is wonderful. So you can, as George mentioned, and I mentioned this a few times before with other ruins, they were all colored. They were all beautifully colored up. And they had all different types of color. The most expensive color, I think, at the time was a very deep red, which was called Venetian red, and then there was also purple. That was even more expensive. Otherwise, they basically did every single color, and with all these ruins, all these columns. Now, the interesting thing about these columns is that they are all not uniformly from the same area of Italy, so they all have different colors. Now they kind of turned into the same color after many thousands of years, but before, when they were originally put here, some of them were yellow, some of them were a little bit more green, some of them were a little bit more blue marble, a few of them maybe would have been white marble, so it would have been a very colorful form. Saloa, fue todo muy rápido en mi visita, así que algunas cosas me quedaron y otras ni me recuerdo. It was too short your visit, and some things you weren't able to see and some things you couldn't even remember. Así que aquí en Roma vale la pena venir por una semana. Here in Rome it is worth it coming here for 1 week. I mentioned white marble. White marble is usually used for sculptures and much smaller pieces, sometimes like smaller decorative columns. However, they're rarely used for large columns because they're much more, they're not as porous, so they're not as good for holding very heavy weight, unlike these other types of marble. Now, what happened to Trajan? Well, Trajan was, as I mentioned, a kind of exception. He wasn't paranoid. He had one major rival. This rival was a man called Sura, also from the Roman Empire, who wanted to take total control of Rome and potentially plot an assassination against Trajan. So what did Trajan do? Now, Trajan ended up preceding emperors like Caligula and also Nero. Very deeply paranoid people. Tiberius as well. Deeply paranoid. They murdered people on a whim that they suspected of conspiring against them. And they were always afraid that someone else was going to conspire against them. So they were always on edge. They were always looking at the corner of their eye. And within good reason. Because as we learn from the feud between Caracalla and his own little brother Gaeta, fratricide is a normal aspect of Roman life. Poisoning family members is a normal aspect of any emperor's life. It started even with Augustus, where Livia poisoned her own son because she wanted one other son to rule over the other. This is why these emperors were paranoid. However, Trajan had very little to lose. He didn't have some grand dynasty that he was following. He was a man from Spain. He might have come from a high-class family, but it was by no means one of the great dynasties of Rome. But Trajan was also very smart because he was elected around the age, around his early 40s. So he already had some experience under his belt. And let's walk through here. Interesting. Okay. So Trajan had a lot of experience under his belt. He wasn't elected too young like Caligula at the age of, what was it, 23, or Caracalla at the age of around like 22, 23 as well, or Nero as well, very young. No, he was elected right where he already had a lot of experience, military experience. He was also not elected old, so old that he was already kind of weary and soft and slow, like Nerva, who preceded him. Nerva was elected much older. He was around like 65 years old. At that time, much older than the general amount of people who were taking leadership. So Trajan ruled with a very strong head held up high. And he invited Sura, his only real enemy, who was vying for the throne. Now, of course, there was no throne, so I'm using throne kind of figuratively. Vying for the throne, for the emperorship. He invited Sura over to his palace, but not to kill him, to just have dinner with him. Now, if you already tuned in for a few episodes, you might be thinking, okay, what's going to happen? Is Trajan going to murder Sura? Nowhere is he going to call one of the Praetorian Guard and they're going to slash him? Did he poison Sura? Did he serve Sura the head of some family member of his and then kill him? No, that didn't happen. They simply had dinner and they were done. Sura saw this as a very smart move. He did not want to F with Trajan, because if Trajan was confident enough to invite Sura for dinner and not do anything, he knew that Trajan was a formidable ruler. For many more years, Trajan ruled, and I think Trajan ruled for a total of about 19 years. And it was one of the most peaceful and thriving periods of empire ever. So, How did Trajan's lineage pass on? Well, Trajan didn't have any lineage to pass on. He had to adopt an heir. However, something was happening. He wasn't adopting anyone. Because if you adopted an heir too early, you could possibly be killed by that heir. Or there could be another rival does not want that heir to take control, so they kill you, they kill the heir, and then they try to take control. You couldn't adopt an heir too late, so if you die before you adopt the heir, then you're screwed, and then there's a civil war, and then you have 4 emperors trying to take over. That's what happened after Nero. We're going to learn about that tomorrow. So, who did Trajan adopt? Well, something weird happened. Trajan had a very close relationship with Hadrian, another general in the Roman Empire. And Hadrian was also very formidable, very wise, and very calm and collected. Out of all the people who was under his wing, he knew that Hadrian would be one of the best to follow his lead. However, he did not name Hadrian until Trajan died. Did he name Hadrian before he died? Well, no one knows for sure because his wife did not tell anyone about Trajan's death for a few days. During those few days, Hadrian was named emperor. He took the lead, he took the adoption as Trajan's heir, Trajan's adopted new ruler after he passes away, and a few days later, Trajan's death was announced. Did Trajan actually officially name Hadrian as his heir? No one knows for sure. It's a bit weird. But what we do know for sure is that Hadrian continued the line of good emperors. So Trajan, whether he picked them officially or picked them non-officially, because he still had him under his wing and still preferred Hadrian, still picked someone great. And it continued the line of the 5 great emperors, 5 good emperors of Rome. So you could think Trajan almost as like the Barack Obama of ancient Rome. He was kind of liked by most people, both the military, the Senate, and also the people at large. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that story, let me know. I actually if you want to continue walking a little bit more through to seeing the other forums from the outside, let me know. Press that heart button if you enjoyed this story, and let me know if you want to walk around a little bit more. The more hearts I get, the more energy I feel to take you all around ancient Rome. Tomorrow, stay tuned, because tomorrow at 11 a.m. we're exploring the Colosseum and the emperor who started the fall of the Roman Empire because he dared to step into the arena and fight like one of the gladiators. Then later on at 3 p.m. we're going to go into Palatine Hill and learn about the weird relationship between Augusta and Livia, the very first empress of Rome, who might have poisoned her own son. I'm seeing a lot of hearts, so I think we're going to continue to walk. Alright, let's walk. George says all day. Yes, all day walk. And then after we might go to the arena, I'll do a mini video around Nero's arena that's right by the Colosseum. Stay tuned for that as well. Okay, everyone. And Trajan, just one more thing. Trajan was named Princeps Imperator, which means the prime emperor, the one to rule them all. Along with Augustus, he was held in the highest esteem. So, as Trajan did, I will listen to all the people. And the people have spoken, so we're going to continue walking along, following the example of this guy. That's Trajan, as I told you, the cropped up hair. He always wore that kind of military getup. And he has a scroll out there showing that he's both a military man and a politician. here it says SPQR Optimo Principal, Optimus Emperor. And we have a lot of people tuning in. So the more you tell friends and family or awesome groups about this video, and especially while it's live, the better. The more I can keep making these videos and the more I can keep showing you all the beauty of cities like Rome around the world and its history. See the Maltese cross right over there. I'm not entirely sure why. If anyone knows, let me know in the comments. So what we're looking at were all the forums from all the different emperors. I think at the end over here we're going to see Caesar's forum. Do we have another Trajan here? Yeah. Is this another Trajan? I think it is. Yep, another Trajan. Oh no, this is not Trajan. Oh, this is Augustus. Looks a lot like Trajan. Trajan did that on purpose. So I won't be able to film in the Capitoline Museum. I found out that it's not allowed to film whatsoever. However, inside the Capitoline Museum and a few other places, you can see statues of Augustus in marble. It also has a bunch of bronze statues like this one. That's the way you see Augustus here was very different than how they built statues during the Roman Republic. In the Roman Republic, you usually see statues with of senators, of consuls, with wrinkles, kind of deep-set eyes, noses that hook. Balding. It was to show that these men were wise. They were rulers who took their time, who were very cool, calm, and collected, and were weathered. They knew the world. However, when Augustus was made emperor, he decided to have all his statues in an idealized form. And even though Augustus ruled until the age of 77, he decided to continue showing his face in youthful form. So this is idealized art, sculpture that we end up seeing with the rest of the Roman emperors subsequently. And Trajan knew that the name of Augustus was a very important name to evoke. And if you can associate yourself with Augustus, you can yourself draw from his power, his magic. People nowadays do a whole lot of that as well. Napoleon saw himself as kind of the second coming of Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great, mostly Julius Caesar. Hitler saw himself as kind of the second coming of Augustus over here. So people always invoke, even in the US, people see themselves, Republicans sometimes see themselves as kind of the second coming of Ronald Reagan or Abraham Lincoln, or further back, George Washington or Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So it's very common for one politician to kind of invoke the name of another. And that's why Trajan and Augustus look very similar. And here we have Caesar, because we're passing right in front of the Forum of Caesar. Now, Caesar wasn't made so idealized. This is more kind of an idealized version of Caesar. Caesar actually had a huge bald spot on top of his head, and he was very, very self-conscious about it. So much to the point that he almost wore the crown of laurels all the time. So here we have the Imperial Forum. Dan, you love Rome. Awesome. If you're watching for the first time, let me know where you're watching from. So you don't really need to purchase tickets to walk inside. Just know that you can still access them for free. That's the cool thing about Rome. There's a lot of free things to do here. But of course, if you want to get up close and touch some of the stones and actually walk amongst the ruins, you can do that. And here we have the Forum, if I'm correct, the Forum of Caesar. This was truly monumental architecture. So you can see that's probably 1 story, 2 stories, 3 stories, maybe 4 stories tall. Hey Gladys, Natalia, estamos al lado del Foro de Roma. We're right by the Roman Forum. We just went to El Mercado de Trajan, which is the markets of Trajan. And let's see the Roman Forum, which we'll be visiting inside tomorrow. Stay tuned. Ooh, is there a photo here of how the Forum looked like? I mean, a photo, a drawing? Let's see. I think there is. So right here at the end was the Forum of Nerva, as you saw it. Now, Forum of Nerva decided to build his forum on top, kind of redesigned the Temple of Minerva. I'm not entirely sure if they had a very close relationship with that name. Probably is a coincidence. However, yeah, he did redesign the temple in order to make it a forum. It took place right here. And Colosseum tomorrow, 11 Rome time, yes. That's the only time I could really get in, because Skip the Line tickets were sold out almost for the entire 2 weeks I was here, including nighttime tickets as well. Alright, let's cross the street and see the Roman Forum from the outside. And in the distance, we're seeing the Colosseum. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the Roman Forum. Stay tuned tomorrow, 3 p.m. George, is that true? Is it that late? A late time? It's 3 plus New York. No, I think it's going to be more like 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Pacific time. If you want to see the Colosseum and you're on the West Coast. Down there, we're also going to visit Palatine Hill. on Thursday. And that is the Capelline Museum. I did a mini 360 video that'll be up for supporters of the plaza of the Capelline. And there's also a 360 video for supporters of the top of the Victor Emmanuel. Not much more history for the rest of this video, so feel free to ask me anything. More history tomorrow. Stay tuned. If you want to watch the video, you can always watch the replays for the story about Trajan, one of the very few good emperors of Rome. But tomorrow, we're no longer talking about good emperors. We're talking about the bad ones, the very crazy ones. Stay tuned for the story of Commodus, and then on Thursday for the story of Caligula and Livia as well. Here's a basilica, Basilica Santa Cosma y Damiano. Beautiful. Let's take a look, shall we? I hope their service. Crossing fingers. Oh wow, this is so cool. A Roman courtyard. So that appears to be a part of the Roman Forum, and this appears to be built part into the rest of the Roman Forum. Look at this gorgeous mosaic. So here we have some Baroque style paintings, but I'm not sure by who. It's not Caravaggio. Every time I go into these churches, I just love it. It feels so cool. It kind of reminds me always of the holidays, because of the holidays is when I usually used to go to church, or like during Catholic school, which I attended. That's when most of like the masses happen for Catholic school kids. So I always think about Christmas when I ever go to a Catholic church. Beautiful church. You want me to confess all my sins, Irene? Lord, please forgive me for taking those last 2 minutes of the Vatican Museum video that all of you should not watch at all. Do not see the last 2 minutes of the Vatican Museum video. You sang that Gordon for a good while, okay, amazing. And Bernadette, you say, oh, beautiful things you can find on unassuming places. Yes, if you're in Rome, just walk into all the churches. Even if you're Protestant, one of my favorite inspirations for making travel videos is Rick Steves. And Rick Steves is an American who grew up Protestant, and he funnily says, put your Protestant sword at the door whenever you're in Rome, so you can enjoy these beautiful churches. So whatever religion you are, just kind of not forgo your beliefs, but forgo kind of despise for all this iconography or this very elaborate, ostentatious paintings, and kind of just take it in, because you're in Rome. You know, that's what Rome is about. It's about beautiful, ornate churches. Well, here we have, ooh, look at this beautiful marble floor that survives. What is this about? This is the Forum of Peace. Natalia, hermosa iglesia. Oh, sí, preciosa iglesia. So a metro stop is being constructed here. It's gonna be a whole new green metro line in Rome, and it's also gonna stop in the Imperial Forum. Remember that for tomorrow, because it'll tie into a battle of elephants that took place in the first 100 days celebration of the Colosseum. Remember, remember la stazione Fort Imperiale. So thus far there's a line A and B in Rome, and soon there's going to be a C. Now, as you know, building ancient Rome, there's a whole lot of things that can be found underneath. And everyone brace yourself, because today we're going to see the outside of the Colosseum before we go inside tomorrow at 11 a.m. Rome time. Scusi.
Ora vamos usar o semáforo. O farol, o sinal.
Wow. Do we have enough time for her, says Donald. Naughty banana, says Lou. I have no idea what you're talking about. Do not watch those last 2 minutes. I repeat it, just don't bother. Now, one cool thing about Rome is that there's these water stations, but you don't only get still water, you could get some sparkling water, which is amazing. I just love the fact that you can get sparkling water. So sparkling water was a fail. It wasn't working. It was just spouting carbon dioxide into my bottle, but no water. So I got some still water. Oh yeah. So here's the current subway line, or metro line, I mean. Paris and Rome, it's metro. London, it's underground, or tube. New York City is subway. We start chanting Jerry. George, are you still watching? If so, does everyone want to make George happy and see the outside of Domus Aurea? Let us know. Press that heart button. George has been a viewer for many years and also has been posting amazing historical photographs and drawings of all these sites in Rome. on the Urbanists of the World group page, and also a few other people like Donald K, Christine. There's a few others posting constantly on Urbanists of the World. So thanks to all of you. Let's find Nero's Dominus Aurea, and then there. Gretchen, you call it the grub way. Interesting. So it's packed to the brim right now. George, I'm glad you're still tuning in. Bernadette and Kay says, let's make George happy. Alright, let's find Nero's. Where is this? Nero. It's a huge arrow that way. So let's see where the arrow leads. Cue the music by Hans Zimmer from the score of the film Gladiator. I forgot how it goes, but they sing something in Latin. Or cue the theme song from the TV show Rome, which inaccurately shows that there was a Colosseum, because there wasn't a Colosseum back in Julius Caesar's time, nor Augustus' time. That came later. That came under the Emperor Vespasian. It means Nero's golden house. Thank you. I don't know much about the structure, but I do know about Nero. So let's find and talk just a tiny bit about Nero as a tease for tomorrow. Because we're going to talk about 3 emperors tomorrow. Nero, Vespasian, and also Commodus. Scusa. So where is Nero's golden house? The reason I don't know about it because it didn't appear on any of the guidebooks. So if anyone can let me know, I'm right by the Colosseum. Can anyone let me know which direction to walk to? I don't have Google Maps because I'm using my phone. My only phone right now at the moment. So let me know, where is Nero's Aurea. Oh, how do you pronounce that word? A-U-R-E-A. And yeah, let me know. I got 20% more battery before I had to wrap this up. All right, let me know. Let me know. It's in the hill, right there? Okay, let's go to the hill. So you can kind of see the Colosseum for free from the outside, which is cool. And here we are, the remnants of Nero's golden palace. But Nero's golden palace did not last for long because it was dismantled rather quickly, and a Colosseum was built in its place. Aurea. Thank you. Nero's Aurea. Nero's golden palace. Let's get a little bit close up to it. Let's cross the street. We walked quite a long way today. We should have an urbanist team of amateur archaeologists to work on that hill. Indeed. It was the greatest structures ever built, says George. And indeed, Nero was a man of luxury. But Nero's reign of a luxurious opulence didn't last for too long, because there was a huge fire that ravaged Rome during Nero's reign. And according to rumors that spread shortly after the fire, Nero was right by his palace, singing, maybe playing the lyra, as he watched Rome burn. Why was he so happy that Rome was burning? Well, because everyone knew that Nero wanted to build a huge, grand palace. And conveniently, as Rome burned down to the ground, Nero built that palace right here. However, as we all know, Nero's reign did not last for too long. And after a very heated civil war between a few emperors, one took total control, Vespasian. However, Vespasian did not come from the senatorial class or the high class or the aristocracy. He was a equestrian, a middle class man. How did Vespasian rise to power, and what did he do with Nero's golden palace? For that, stay tuned tomorrow at 11 a.m. for episode 6 of Rome's Eternal City, Mysteries of the Eternal City. Episode 6, tomorrow 11 a.m. We'll learn about Nero, Vespasian, and then a few emperors later, the one who dared to step into this very arena to fight gladiators, communists. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to become a supporter, you can do so right down there. Think of it as giving me a $5 tip for showing you all these places around on live video using data and transporting myself. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Arrivederci, amici. Ciao.